Welcome to another episode of F it, I've Got a Brain Injury. My name's Ken, and I'm here with Jesse.
The idea of this podcast was to have a podcast for people with brain injuries, for people with family members who have brain injuries, for people who want to learn more about brain injuries. And I wanted to let it be known that me and Ken, the hosts, have brain injuries. So I apologize for my voice. And I also apologize for Ken's face. Thank God you can't see it. He has a face for radio.
I have a face that would make a freight train take a dirt road.
So sit back, relax, grab some popcorn, and enjoy.
And Melissa, what do we actually do in book club, and where do you see it going?
The book club started as a way to help people be able to get back into reading for pleasure with the ultimate goal of increasing literacy skills. And literacy is really the idea that someone can read something and then talk about it in a meaningful way.
And in my case, retain it.
And in your case, retain it, right? So that retention is part of being able to read something and have it make sense and then be able to talk about it in a way that's meaningful, right?
Yeah, and a lot of times, like retaining it, I get that too. Like when we're in book club, I don't know what the heck we're talking about until someone starts talking about it. Then I remember everything.
Yeah.
It comes back to me.
So when we talked about putting this book club together, this actually was the result of there was another group that I did at a program called Belvedere, and it was a literacy group, same type of setup. And what we learned was that when people had roles, so all of what we do in the program, the neurogenic communication program, is based on meaningful projects. So things that people participate in lieu of other meaningful things that you might have had before your stroke or brain injury, work, volunteer, family, household responsibilities. Projects provide an opportunity for people to engage in meaningful activities. So book club is really set up as mini projects. That's what your weekly role is. Yeah. And the purpose of that is to provide materials to help you with memory or organization or deeper opportunities for deeper discussion, vocabulary, timelines, any external cognitive supports that you wouldn't have if you were to just walk into a book club in a local library or at your friend's house or at Oprah's place, right? So it extends beyond that by having people generate materials.
One of the great things that I think book club gives us is a structured way of talking about the book, and how everyone has their parts, and they come in with their parts, and we usually have on the wall, themes. Well, first would be summary. And summary would be a good reason for the first, because honestly, summary is my favorite part, because when I walk in, I don't only remember what I read. And when they get the summary, I'm back. I get it back.
Yep.
So I think the structure of that is critical to me,
right,
because otherwise I wouldn't. It'd be,
You'd just be there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No,
the only thing we didn't find that worked is doing a preview of what we'll be reading, because that gives a lot of it away, I think.
Yeah, that's an important thing. So that was a role someone had in the early days.
Really? Huh.
of book club. We ended each group with a chapter preview. And over time, as people got, it started as a cognitive support for people so they could prepare for timeline changes, setting changes, character changes. But over time, as the group grew and evolved and got better, as a group, you guys kind of decided it was not good. The spoiler alerts were not worth the level of support that people were getting. Also, each week, somebody creates a list of the foods that are in the book. Yeah. The way the book club works, we choose a book every semester. We read, like you guys said, 2 to 3 chapters, roughly 30 pages on our own each week. We discuss in group in the context of everybody's role and have the notes projected up on a smart board so that everyone has them as a external graphic organizer. On the last day, we typically watch a movie and everybody brings in something sometimes loosely related to the food in the book, and we have a party on the last day of the semester. Yeah. There are other aphasia book clubs out there, but as far as I know, this is one of the only ones where the people with stroke or brain injury create the materials to support the discussion. So it's for the people, by the people, you guys creating these support materials, but as a therapeutic clinical project. And then you have the support of the graduate students to make sure you're 100% successful in the production of those materials. And I want to say there are no exclusionary criteria really for participating in this program. So the severity of your brain injury doesn't really prevent you from being able to participate. Even if you have a reading impairment so severe that you're not reading, if someone else is reading to you or if you have access to an e-reader, we will make sure any accommodations are provided so that people can be 100% successful. And I think that's a critical component to this book club that I want to make sure gets talked about.
For me, the Kindle's been the best thing in the world for me because I can read along with it. And you can hear as well as read. That's 2 forms of input, I believe.
Yeah, listening to it and reading along with it. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I never thought I'd be into book club or any of that. I thought I was pretty much toast after I had the stroke. And believe it or not, I got to like it a lot. The people in the program are the best.
Mm-hmm. That is a clearly a principal draw.
Right.
This is a people program. And the people in it, running it, helping it, gaining from it, they're good human beings.
Even me?
Except one.
Right. And with the book club thing, we all have jobs to do. Like mine is research to make sure the author isn't full of shit.
Excuse me, we don't say that. We say full of strange material.
Right, there we go. And what you basically do, we already told you, is almost like a theme and where the book is going to be going.
Right. Well, I guess what my section has come to be known as Footnotes with Andy. And it's just, when I go through 2 or occasionally 3 chapters, and some element of it sticks out in my mind of what does this mean to the story, or where is it taking the story? I do a couple of things with it. I do develop a theme. What is the theme of what we've read? And I write, a word just so we can know what it is. And then, what does this mean for the story, and where is it going? And it creates a bunch of questions. And the thing that's been very satisfying for me is how much this develops discussions in the whole class, focused on those of us with the brain injuries and our students, on what has gone on, where are we going, what does this mean? But we have great discussions and a great deal of depth and understanding of where we may go. And that's just been a really good outcome, but a great feeling that this has happened and, that I can contribute something to this.
And Jesse, with the book club, when you do come, what do you do?
Well, first off, I have to say when I do come, the book club is amazing.
Only
People's-
because of your
people's
presence.
faces light up. Let me just say that. But what I do now, well, actually, let me first say what I used to do, because I used to do the timeline, and I did the timeline specifically because I always had issues with keeping the years together and
Yep.
whatnot. Probably one of my most difficult jobs that I've had. But what I do now is I do vocabulary, and I go through the chapter and I just try to point out some words that I may not know or I think others may not know, and I put them down. Unfortunately, in this book, there's not much. Oh, actually, no. Fortunately, in this book, there's not that many vocab words, so my job is not as complicated as others.
So we'll basically see you again when we have the party.
Yep.
You're
That's
always
right.
there for that, that's for sure.
Yep.
So, Jesse, what you just described is a good example of how in the group we can modify the expectations and levels of support depending on what's going on in your life. So, in past semesters, when things are easier, maybe your schedule's lightened up, you're more motivated because of the actual book, you can take on a more challenging project or role like handling timelines, even though that's something that's really challenging for you. But you've had a hard time coming to group every single week and on time, and so we adjusted the expectations to have a easier role. Would you say that's like a helpful thing?
I would say that is helpful because my punctuality is.
Well, you're such a busy person.
That's true. My punctuality is not always on point. I can be late occasionally because I sleep too much. Well, let me just say, because of my brain injury, I sleep too much, so I'm not taking all the blame here. All right?
Or is it because you watch news until like 3 in the morning?
Well, let's move past this
Yeah, okay.
subject. When I was doing those more important roles, my schedule was more open, and I was able to really focus in on it and be able to do it well. Now it's not so much, but
And I do want to say one of the new participants there, Anna, has really come a long way. She really
Yeah.
has.
Yes, absolutely.
For a book she hates, she knows a whole lot about it.
but what other jobs are there in book club?
You got Cliff, and he does relative research for the time.
Yeah.
And then we have 2 people that go chapters by chapters. 2 other people in the group do chapter summaries. One does one and one does the other,
Yeah.
which is why we try to keep the two chapters a week. And we've only thrown 1 book away, For Whom the Bell Tolls. That was the only one we lost interest in.
Mm-hmm.
Well, was the author dead?
What is it, Ernest Hemingway?
Yes, it was. Yes,
Yeah.
wasn't one of his better books.
But no, it's not a bad process. I think that they're not. You may not like what the choice is,
Right.
but it's sort of it's.
I have a question. So, Andy, you talked a lot about some accommodations and supports that were provided, and they're helping you develop skills for book
Yeah,
club.
right.
And this anybody can answer this.
Yeah.
Is anything you've gotten at a book club can you identify as helpful outside a book club? Have they transferred to your everyday life?
Discussion for me has gotten a whole lot better. I have a lot more to say. Whereas before I wouldn't say much of anything because it took me so long to get the words out of my mouth. And things have gotten better. They really have.
So you're more comfortable having discussions outside of group because of your participation in book club discussions?
Absolutely, no doubt about it.
I guess my problem's quite the opposite of that, because I tend to talk too much, and but I still have trouble keeping my focus, and some aspects of that, move over into other things that I do a little bit, and that's an improvement. But I guess the answer is I still have probably long ways to go, but it does keep me some focus. But I have to keep myself to the point where I follow the focus.
So earlier you described that you would have up to 12 pages of notes every
Yeah.
time you read.
Yeah.
And you had a few students that helped you with a specific strategy, tool, accommodation to help with that. Can you describe that?
No, because that requires memory.
So let me help you out.
No.
So the outline.
Yeah, no. Well, what
She did a graphic
we
organizer.
did, what I would just start writing things, and it would be a different pathway every week, and over time we chose elements and edited them a little bit, but focused it down to basically 4 things showing up on a page of topics or where I want to go. The theme, what does it mean? Where is it going? Those have been really, really helpful, and that keeps you focused, and the other really great part of it is it gives a good baseline for something on paper that can lead to discussions by the group, and I think that's one of the best benefits from it, because it creates that conversation for the whole class, and
So-
that's great.
Therapeutically or clinically, she helped you
Yeah.
externalize the knowledge structure.
Yeah.
So the important components that can be used week to week to week to week, even though the information changes, but it's the structure that you use to
Yeah.
help
And
increase conversation.
And that's good, because that's one thing those are the concepts that you lay into following things through, and that's important. That's a good point.
Well, that's why the books we read, we go all the way through it except for one. We make sure we stick it out even if we don't like the book.
I think what I gain from book club is different from Ken and Andy. Maybe a little bit more with Andy as far as the structure has to do with it, but my main thing is actually taking time during the week to actually read the book and find my vocab words. That is my main issue. I think it also goes back to my dynamia.
So it provides you with a
Structure.
structure.
Yeah, structure, which is like structure and like routine. Not so much routine because I don't do it on a specific day and stuff, but definitely structure.
It has, in fact, impacted things that I do, and my example is what I did yesterday, and I think I've mentioned it sometimes. I'm on an advisory board in Cooperstown for farmer health and safety, and it's the range of people who deal with it. It's farmers, different kinds of farmers, all kinds of different people, but it's all focused on what more can we bring out to the world to improve the safety and production of farming in New York State. And now that I think about what I went through yesterday, I'm actually a little frightened and astounded. The number of people that said, well, as a result of what Andy said, I think we should. And that, beyond being a good feeling, it's so nice to know that I'm back to contributing. And I think I know where it came from. Yay to book
Yep.
club.
Back to contributing, I think, is such a powerful thing
Yeah.
to say, because so many people after stroke or brain injury lose their identity because they're ability to contribute in the ways they were before, really, they lose opportunities for that. So that's an amazing thing.
Yeah. So it works, and the outcomes really occur. The positive outcomes really occur, and that's what's good. But the fact of the matter is, when I got out of Helen Hayes, one of the people who was working with me called my daughter and said, "Your dad's going to have trouble reading. He should go." Well, it turns out, I don't know her name, but she is a former student from the program. And so, beyond whatever we have accomplished, you have your team out there spreading the word
Out
Yeah.
there in the
and
world.
getting people into the services they need. That's great.
Well,
That-
thank you, Andy.
no.
You know how to make a girl feel good.
Well,
I can take care of that in a heartbeat to slow you down a little bit. I'm terrible.
Thank you for listening to F It, I Have a Brain Injury. I'm Jesse, and this is Ken.
And I hope you all get something out of this podcast.
We would love to hear your stories too. See you next time.
See you next time.